Good afternoon. This is Damon the Truth Davis, and I'm here to give you information and education on who we are. This episode, I am going to explain for people to look out for. In this day and age, we have to be a lot more careful of who we listen to or who we follow. Things are going to be real tight, and things is really getting to the verge of almost either civil war. Because if you're too busy into your Instagram and your TikToks and not really paying attention to the world that's going on around you, things are about to really reach a certain head. For those that know that there's been a movement classified as who we really are, the indigenous people of this land, the Moors of this country, and everything that they stripped from us during the time of slavery. In this episode, I want you to be careful with people that you listen to. Now, I don't know this lady. Her name is Mia J. Very nice lady. But the miseducation and the divisive conversation that she's having is very troubling to me. It's troubling because when people get on social media, more likely they do have an audience. And the audience listens to them. But I think it's a disservice when people give out misinformation. How different an African American is compared to other black people. And the reason why she identified with that because there is has been an identification crisis when it comes to copper tone people, nine ether beings, us as human blacks on this planet, and as in this particular system in the United States, about our true heritage, our true lineage, where us, but it's also written in our DNA. The reason why I seen this Mia speak, and it was troubling to me because of the way she tried to explain how different we supposed to be. When in all actuality, we completely was robbed from who we are. I don't identify myself as an African American. That's just a title. And you have patriotic people that wears that title and wear that title proudly because they don't know any better. And I can't hold it against them because that's all they know is to be an African American. But that's not what I am. That is not what we are. And that's what we need to understand about who we are. But I would like you to listen to what she's saying. And if she's willing to reach out, we can have a conversation at any time because I am willing to also talk about spreading unity amongst some black people. I don't have nothing negative to say. Only thing is that the miseducation that she's perpetuating, or she's spilling out, is only basic education that this government have ever told us about ourselves. She said a lot of things that make sense. That's just true. Yeah, you can't talk about America unless you talk about us. Slavery was just part of the plot, of the scam, or the scheme, or the scheme of things. You understand what I'm saying? So, without further ado, let me introduce you, Mia Jane. Listen to her live and tell me what you think.
All right. Now, speaking to the Ocean of Soul, okay? Texas Southern just performed with Beyonce, my queen, the queen bee. Yes, I'm a part of the Beehive and proud of it. You got me there. But we see them performing with her, and a lot of people have negative things to say. Beyonce is always has a marching band, da 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 da. Beyonce is, and she has every right to do what the fuck she wants to do, right? But I don't really want to talk about that. I want to keep going with the Black American history and the Black American patriotism, because coming off of what I said about Valley and hoping that they don't go to perform at the inauguration, I also want to make it very clear that Black people, Black American people, those of us who are ethnically Black American, meaning that our ancestors are the, were the enslaved Africans here in America, right? We are the descendants of American chattel slavery. We have the right to be patriotic. We have the right to be patriotic. Hot take. Take fuego. Yeah, we do. Let's get into it. I'm a strong believer that multiple things can be true at once, right? So I absolutely believe that we can criticize America and we can criticize um, the fascism, we can criticize the imperialism and the destruction that the United States of America has done, and still acknowledge that Black Americans lay the foundation for this country. There is nothing in America that moves without Black people, that Black people have not had a hand in. Okay? It simply is not. American culture does not move without Black culture. And it's been very interesting. So, over the last, I want to say, 5 or 6 years is when I really started to notice it. There seems to be this era of tribalism, right? Where we are talking about Blackness ethnically rather than just as a whole. But when we talk about Blackness, it would be remiss to act like the concept of Blackness culturally is not Black American, okay? Are Black people racially Black, right? And not culturally Black American? Absolutely. And I want to say, before I delve into this topic, I love all Black people. Jamaica is one of my favorite countries, right, that I've been to thus far. I've had such good experiences with Black people from the Caribbean. I've also witnessed online some bad things, but in personal life, I've had amazing experience with Black Caribbean people. I've had amazing experiences with Black West African people. In college, I had some great experiences with Nigerian brothers and sisters. One of my line sisters is Ghanaian. Like, I've had really good experiences. I had an uncle who is Nigerian. Like,
Now, before I go on, I wanted to respond to something. You see how she take third party about all these different ethnic groups. She don't identify with near one of them. She don't even know the definition what is an African American. I did my ancestry 3 years ago. Majority of the percentage of my DNA come from West Africa, and the majority was Nigeria. I ain't never been in Nigeria a day in my life. See, that goes to show how they completely cut us off from who we are. And she said tribal. There were tribes. They're different ethnic back. We all been here a long time ago. There's different black people. We all different. We all got different facial feature, bone structures. We're not all the same. We all come from different parts of Africa, but that don't mean that we are not cohesive in our own culture and our own agenda. We've been cut off. We've been cut off completely. The only language that we ever knew was the language that they taught us, not the language that our forefathers, our ancestors spoke. We didn't know that. She probably didn't know that either. That we wasn't speaking English, which is the British language, which is the poorest language, which is the sorriest and the lowest language compared to the language that we used to speak, Creole, Latin, other languages I can't even pronounce when they do their all that. We had languages. We taught them how to read. See, these things that they don't look at, these things they don't think about. They always thought America and white people always being in charge. Always the dominant one. But she finds all type of ways to separate herself from the people that we all connected with. But anyway, let me go.
This is not me saying that I don't love all black people, because my sweet babies, I love us for real. But I've noticed that it's this type of vibe where people might call it a diaspora war. I don't really think it's diaspora wars. I think it's different different people versus black Americans on the internet in the last 5 years. And I don't know if it's, stemming directly from the stuff with Black Lives Matter or where it really came from, but it's been kind of like this us versus them. And I have seen different movements pop up on the internet, whether that be ADOS, which I believe is American Descendants of Slavery, and the FBA, which is Foundation of Black Americans. And I don't really know too much about those as movements. I've heard that they're pretty problematic. I don't know. I don't know. I've never subscribed to it. But what I can say is I am foundationally Black American, meaning that I am ethnically Black American, racially Black, and I am from America. And there's always been this kind of weird take. And when I was younger, I didn't really know how to deal with it, where being foundationally Black American, when I say foundationally Black American, I'm not subscribing to any rhetorics besides my own. Okay, all views on this in this video are my own. But being foundationally Black American, I think that there's always been this kind of notion that we don't know where we come from and we don't have a culture, right? And when I was younger, I didn't really know how to combat that, because I've always been very proud of where I come from, right? Like I said, my dad is from Mississippi. Always been very, very proud to have roots in Mississippi. Always gone back to Mississippi, graduated from school in Mississippi, just always been very proud of that. My mama's people are from Arkansas. They're from England, Arkansas, an area right outside of Little Rock. I'm a child or grandchild of the Great Migration, right? My dad migrated. My mother, her parents migrated, and she's a child of the Great Migration. So I've always just been very, very proud of my roots. I've been very, very proud to be from the Midwest. Been very, very proud to be from Cleveland, Ohio. Been very, very proud of every area of this country that I come from, right? But it was always, like I said, that notion we still don't know where we come from. And it's like when I was younger, it's like, I guess I don't know where I come from, right? But then as I got older, I realized like I know exactly where I come from. My family has been in this country for generations, for at least the past 200 to 300 years, if not before that. And I know that there are different movements that might be a little bit more militant when I'm talking about, but what I can say is I've always known where my roots lied, um, and always been very proud of it. So when you see people as you get older, still with this notion that, as I got older and learned, hey, I know where I'm from, and they still have this notion that you don't, I think that's where the butting of heads comes in because it's like, wait a minute, who are you to tell me that I don't know where I'm from? And
Boom. I want to stop that right there because now that's a justification of still being confused. I was born in New York and raised in Miami. None of that could give me any notion of who I was before that. Because you got to remember, these states and cities was created during the time of occupation when they took over our land. A lot of these places are not the same name of the places that they once used to be. And some of the old name made it change, but it's a fraction compared to where it used to be. She don't understand that the only thing she's doing is being ignorant, not acknowledging the true fact. You don't know where you come from. You don't know what tribe you come from. Your dad might know more about, if he's from Mississippi, about which tribe he might know. That's if education wise did he ever know. I mean, it's a lot of ifs. Like she got ifs and buts. But here's a fact. Nobody knows after reclassification, after they reclassified us, until this name that she's so proud to say, a Black American. What is that? Don't nobody even know the original name of this land before they even called it America. And she's iffy. Oh, these militant this and these militant that. And oh, by the way, you know, you right is your word and you're content. But you're still trying to justify a question that you were not able to be able to answer. Neither one of us. No black person in the world. I don't care what they say. Oh, I know I'm from there. Only people that might know is people that probably was able, ancestor was able to continue the knowledge and pass it down to generation through generation. Everybody didn't have that opportunity. But there's some families that people did. And that's amazing. And it's also beneficial to know who you are and where you come from. There's nothing wrong with the question. But the problem is the way we dealing with it. How we accept it, how easily it is for us to forget exactly what was done to our ancestors. How easily it for us to forgive. the abomination that happened to our ancestors, and that also that happened to us because we are suffering. Everybody can't put on a smile and makeup and laugh and kick the bobo and kiss ass and go with the flow. Everybody can't accept to be blinded like that, to ignore the truth. Like the saying, if you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything. And we got to stop falling into the trap and be able to humble ourselves and be able to accept, you know, our condition and find ways to change that. And it comes with unity. It comes with finding out who we are. It comes to find out what we can do together, how we can build together. Instead of always trying to diversify and think everybody different. Everybody's not going to think the same because everybody don't have the same education. Everybody ain't went through the same trauma. Everybody don't see. You think the reason why they say if you want to hide something from a nigga, put it in a book? There was a reason for that. That's the reason why they burnt out books and kept you from reading, to keep you ignorant. You know the saying, those that can't read can't speak. Because you got to have an eloquent speech to be able to, to use your words to be able to communicate in order for people to understand you. A lot of people don't have that gift. Now, sometimes I can be straight up in the street, relaxing, just talking how niggas talk. Or I get on the intellectual level and just speak how I really speak. Because it's a dilemma in our society. We got too many obstacles in the way. We got too many Mindy J's that think like this. Now I'm not faulting her for, expressing her point or anything like that. But she need to go down deeper down into the rabbit hole. Because, honey, you don't know who you are. Your daddy from Mississippi and your mama from Arkansas, and you was born wherever you was born at. That don't mean you know who you are. You in a mixture of two people. But you know you come from your mama and your daddy. But probably they can't even tell you what tribe or so it's gonna be tribal. People are starting to rise up. People are starting to wake up. People are starting to recognize who we really are. People are starting to see exactly the truth. People are reading. I don't have all the answers, but if I do, I know who to go to. We all need each other. Everybody got it's education. Everybody has it. A lot of people have it. But you got to also watch out for traps. Because ever since Marcus Garvey, have you ever heard of him? This government, the white government, always put that decoy. Somebody can speak some truth, and he gonna throw somebody in the midst to speak something against what he's speaking. That confuses people. That also makes the validity of what somebody else saying question, especially for those that don't have no type of education or understanding. So who they gonna believe if they don't read the book themselves? If they don't do their own research and study? We got teachers, and we can all learn, and we can all learn from each other. We just got to keep an open heart and an open mind. There's nothing solid because nobody knows definite anything but one thing. I know for a fact that we've been here longer than anybody been here. Our ancestors built this land. She said a lot of every fabric on the backs of everything, even established the government before they even came. So yeah, right, you sister. But the main thing, we ain't came off no slave ships. They didn't kidnap us. You ask yourself what the Mayans and the Incas, how they automatically disappeared. It's a trick, honey. But I'm gonna let you continue. You about 5 more minutes.
I think people think just because they migrated from somewhere else or immigrated from somewhere else to the United States, that somehow gives them a leg up on knowing where they come from, rather than those of us who never had to immigrate to this country because we are from this country and our ancestors built this country, right? Because I think a lot of the frustration comes from the fact you don't really see people questioning Caribbean people like that, or people from the Caribbean like that. Um, you don't see people asking Jamaicans, "Oh, but where's your family really from?" Even if they were from Jamaica before they came here, right? Nobody, people will take that, "Oh, they're Jamaican." They'll take that as an answer. If we say we're from America, they won't take that as an answer, and I think that has to do with the fact that America is a predominantly white country, right? But that being said, we still built the shit.
Now, her and them butts. If she said America is predominantly a white country, America, where the name come from? How we even got named America? We been built it. Yeah, of course we built it. The butts though. That's by doing research and looking for facts is very important because you wouldn't have no buts. There's no such thing as being an American. She just said something very important. In every other continent, they got countries, towns, but they in countries. Over here, we got states. Why is that? Why our continent is divided more into states than into countries? While the rest of the land is known as countries or provinces or certain areas, townships, but not states. Somebody reminded me the other day about how they redlining and how they etching out different election districts and they draw that every other week. They can, let's just chop this out. Let's give them this much land. They can do that every day. Who gonna question it? If you give somebody the power, they're gonna take the power and they're gonna run with it. See, pretty smile and everything, but she need to do her research. Come back on this subject. Unless she was just finding something to talk about. Forgive me. If y'all know her, if y'all see her, I'm gonna make sure I share it so that you can understand. Because it's all right to, how can I say it, to be inquisitive about certain things. And sometimes you got to get more in depth. They just don't accept what you think just because you think it is acceptable. Because it's not. And people telling you, when you say you're an American, people looking at you like you crazy. Because you're not. And you keep saying Black American, but let's use the correct title that the government gave us. African American. And see, right there, she don't want to even identify being an African American. I promise you that. That's why she say a Black American. A lot of people that I noticed that's in America would not identify themselves with African, period. Like their ancestors' name never came from Africa. Like they never been over there. Every dance, every twerk, everything came from, they over there in Africa doing it. Same thing before you even did it over here. They do that, they tribal dances. I mean, everything that a Black person does over here, they did it over there. And they doing it over there now. That's why it's easy for them to learn the dance steps. You see it on TikTok and Instagram. Them Africans copycat everything they see Americans do because the white people utilize similar to portray Black people in a certain light. You have people that's just brainwashed and not really understanding that it's deeper than what it is. You know, some people get, well, I got a good job, or you getting paid on Instagram, or whatever the situation may be. You comfortable. But what about the other men? You know, if you just on the mind frame, just I'm just worrying about me, then you already lost. They already got you. You know, we're a community. You know what I'm saying? It takes a village. I mean, we heard it before. It's in our DNA to be community oriented. We look out for self. We look out for ourselves. And we stop doing that. As my last live, we don't have no more pride in each other no more. We're not proud to be who we are or who we used to be.
So this is our country, right? And that's where I don't know if it's will being willfully obtuse or people truly don't understand, but that's where a lot of the frustration comes in, right? And I just seen in the last few weeks there's been an uptick in certain topics that has to do with Black Americans and patriotism, right? Um, Before we get to the patriotism aspect, I saw the stuff with Fat Joe and him saying that Black Americans were not the only ones who created hip hop. That it was like a 50-50 thing between Black Americans and Latinos. That comes down to the fact that not only white people want our rhythm and not our blues, non-black Americans want our rhythm and not our blues too. You want to be associated with all of our good, but you don't want to be associated with our all of our bad. It's no secret that when immigrants come here, their people have probably told them negative things about Black Americans. White supremacy is a crazy, crazy, crazy network that has done a great deal of damage and continues to do so today. So we have very, very negative things that um or people are told very, very negative things about us, right? But it's the idea that we aren't told negative things about you too, but it's seeming that we can realize that that's simply not true in a way that a lot of other people don't seem to grasp. And I don't know, it's like we could grow out of it, but other people seem to not have grown out of it. And I don't know if it's just a super dominance online that's showing that, or if that's really the way that things are, right? But nonetheless, I think with that, with saying like, oh, Black Americans didn't just create hip hop, that's not to say that there were not other people there, right? Like I said, my son is named after Stokely Carmichael, right? Stokely Carmichael had Trinidadian lineage, right? There are many Black Americans who had lineage from the Caribbean and other areas, but the difference is they assimilated to Black people and they saw themselves one with Black people. And I think after the civil rights movement, something changed where a lot of Black immigrants seem to not see themselves as one with us anymore. And they wanted Black immigrants who were willing to see themselves as different from us so that they would not rebel with us, right? That they were kind of the seen to be the docile ones, where we were seen to be more militant. With all that, I think at the end of the day, it came to be known that still nigga, right? And some people grasp that, and some people.
I like to end this. Very lovely woman. I really, I understand where she's coming from, and I respect it. I wish that we had a chance, opportunity to talk. But there's a lot of hidden things that we don't talk about as a whole, as a unit. We too busy waiting on somebody else to try to solve our problems. And that's the problem in itself. How can you go to the same person that created the problem to help you solve it? You ain't doing them giving them ammunition to find out which ways to sabotage you to give you something to appease you so you can shut the fuck up. That's it. Don't nothing change. It's 2025. And the same stuff been going on since 1950. Blacks ain't really moving up like they supposed to. The same few, the same people. There's not much. The percentage is low compared to their percentage on who's doing good, who got homes, who got businesses, who got jobs. So as she said earlier, that this world is predominantly white because the United States Constitution caters to white men only. Why do you think white women was fighting for women's rights? Because there are no rights in the Constitution for them. Why do you think black people was fighting for civil rights? Because there's no rights in the Constitution for them. A matter of fact, in the Constitution, we are only considered 3/5 of a human. Honey, that's the America that you see. That's how they visualize you, us, in America, no matter where you come from. Family I knew came from Nassau, Bahamas. But America in colonized areas is still up under the thumb of the Europeans. No matter where you live at in this world, until we become free, you see a lot of impoverished Jamaica, Haiti, Brazil, Sao Paulo. You go all the way to Elutra, Hatchet Bay, everywhere. Black people do whatever they got to do to survive. And it is not about money. That's what's wrong with us in America. We are being pimped by some bread. The dollar bill, y'all. That's what runs America. Money. Paper. Something that don't have any value to it. As if you read on the paper, it says this is to pay a debt. Goes back to where the source come from, the people that printed it. How long we gonna continue to allow ourselves to be pimped and treated like this? Time to wake up. Time to organize. Time to get ourselves together and start anew and be able to unite our people as one. So until next time, peace out, brothers and sisters. May God bless. Ashe.